Alright, let's talk about something that sounds like a medical miracle but is rooted in some incredibly important lessons we all need to know. Imagine this: a super fit guy in his 50s, a teacher, an avid biker, collapses mid-morning routine with a massive stroke. His wife finds him 45 minutes later, and somehow, he walks out of the hospital 2 days later. Walks out. That's not a typo. This story is a masterclass in why timing, luck, and hidden health risks collide in ways we rarely see. Let me unpack this, and trust me, there's a lot more here than just a feel-good recovery tale. /and first off, let's address the elephant in the room. Strokes aren't supposed to happen to people like Todd. He's the guy who probably eats kale for breakfast and bikes to work. So when he drops to the floor paralyzed on his right side, you can bet everyone's asking, how did this slip through the cracks? The answer? A heart defect most of us have never heard of, PFO. Patent foramen ovale. Basically, a tiny hole in the heart that 25% of adults carry around like a dormant landmine. And here's where it gets wild: this defect usually does nothing. Zero symptoms. But in Todd's case, it became a highway for a blood clot to bypass the lungs and shoot straight to his brain. How's that for a plot twist? /and now, let's geek out on the medical side for a sec. That 45-minute window between Todd collapsing and his wife calling 911? That's not just important, it's existential. Doctors call it time is brain, which sounds dramatic until you realize every second without oxygen is a second of irreversible damage. Think about it: if his wife had left for work 5 minutes earlier, or if she'd stopped to grab coffee on the way back, this story ends very differently. That's what cracks me up about life, how often it hinges on these absurdly small margins. But here's the kicker: even though Todd's case was freakish, the takeaway is universal. Stroke symptoms aren't always obvious. They don't care about your gym routine or your clean diet. They're opportunistic little monsters, /and then there's the procedure itself, the mechanical thrombectomy. Let's give credit where it's due: this isn't just a clot removal. It's a high-stakes, microscopic ballet where a catheter snakes through arteries to vacuum out the blockage. But what fascinates me isn't the tech, it's how new this approach is. We're talking about a technique that's revolutionizing stroke care, yet how many people know it exists? Todd's neurologist called him a miracle, but it's not divine intervention, it's preparation meets precision. Which makes me wonder, how many miracles never happen because people don't know the clock is ticking? /and let's zoom out. This story isn't just about Todd. It's a case study in medical humility. We like to think we're in control of our health, right? But PFOs are everywhere, silent, sneaky, and in 20% of us. How many people watching this have one? And here's the thing: Todd's wife was a nurse. A nurse. If she hadn't been home, if she'd dismissed his symptoms as just dizzy, he'd be looking at permanent damage, or worse. So what's the bigger message? Awareness isn't just about knowing symptoms, it's about recognizing that health risks are often invisible until they're catastrophic. /and wrapping this up, I can't stop thinking about Todd's line: until it happens to you, you have no idea. That's not just survivor's guilt, that's a gut punch of perspective. How often do we blow off checkups or ignore weird symptoms because we're too busy? Todd's story isn't a fluke. It's a wake-up call to audit our own blind spots. Maybe get your blood pressure checked. Maybe learn the signs of a stroke. Or maybe just hug someone you love a little tighter tonight. Because as much as we plan, life's got a way of reminding us how fragile and precious this all is. What's your take? Drop a comment below, let's hear what this story made you rethink.